Who are you?
I'm third chair now, Dave.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm third chair now.
No, you're not.
.com. Wonderful.
It's very nice to have you here, Dave.
Thank you.
Glad you're here.
Yes, that to clear up the gay rumors.
Yes. You don't need to be so self-conscious. You don't need to be so self-conscious. You're irreplaceable.
Gracias.
Except for when you are.
Well, right.
I mean, except for Monday.
Yeah.
We replaced you.
Except for Monday.
So.
And it was
a pink slip in my locker.
It was surprisingly easy.
Yeah,
I didn't
weird.
even know he had lockers. You just bought one to
Yes.
get you a
Pink slips, pinks, you punk. Ownership papers. Name that movie line. You can comment below right away. Are we? I'm sounding a little loud in my headphone for some reason. It could just be me sounding loud. No, it's my own headphone. All right, glad to be with you guys. We're going to be talking about Russia and how not only Russia, is screwing up the Ukraine.
Yeah. Taking it over is screwing it up. Yeah.
Well,
I don't think they're worried about long lines at the store so much as dying.
I don't want to be anti-Russian.
Okay.
We'll be talking about how all Chinese people are racist.
I have an anti-Russian.
No, not all Chinese people are racist.
No.
Of course. Just a significant portion of them.
Well.
And just those who do work with the NBA and just those who support the genocide of the Uyghur Muslims in China. So there's a lot going on here internationally. And you know what? We wanted a break from COVID. But you know what also is striking is how much the United States is becoming like Soviet Russia. Vladimir Putin said this.
Oh.
And I thought, oh, come on. He's just trying to, do his election meddling.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it, and I went through, and I said, he makes a good case.
Crap.
Even before Eminem, Detroit had a lot of Uyghurs.
Yes, I can imagine. Not on the outset, Dave. So, by the way, if we are not here on YouTube, if ever it happens, we're still streaming.
Like
Monday
now.
through Thursday. 10 a.m. Eastern. You can watch us on Rumble. You can watch us on Mug Club. I don't know why I'm sounding so loud on my headphones.
Are you really?
I'm sounding.
I think it's in your head.
I think it could be in my head. I've been up since 2:30. You ever
Yeah,
had one of those
go
days when you
ahead.
cannot fall back asleep?
You don't sound loud.
Okay. Well, in my head, I sound loud.
Well, that's good.
Everyone else been up since 2:30?
No. What are you talking about?
Try to make up for it with more caffeine, and then there's a certain point where it makes you more tired.
Yeah. You're going to crash like right after the show.
Why are you wearing butterflies?
I'm not. This ought to be interesting.
Everything looks like.
So before I move on here, Gerald Day, how are you, sir?
I am much better than you. How are you?
I'm fine. We'll just see it get loosey-goosey, and, you guys can keep me in check.
That's going to be funny.
There you go. Some responsibility on your shoulders, Dave.
What?
And, of course, he's performing February 4th and 5th at the Improv in Denver, Colorado. Dave Landau, how are you?
Ahoy. I'm good. How about you?
Well, we've already gone through. Do we need to do the Let's do away with the pleasantries.
No.
If we're going to be like Russia, let's go full bore and be just like Russia.
Look, you beat a man almost to death a few moments ago. I think we can say ahoy.
I appreciate you covering our tracks with almost.
No, yes, well, almost.
No employees were harmed in the making of.
Let's just
employees are always harmed.
We have a lot
it's
of
an exception to the
graves.
rule. Yeah, I don't know why we get so. We have full budget for the studio, for the effects, the sketches. We get really, really chintzy. We get cheap when it comes to the graves.
Well,
Yeah.
we make them dig them, just like
I don't know why we're so frugal with the graves.
Russian guys.
You know what it is? They're so hurt when we have them dig the grave. We should have them dig the grave before we hurt them.
True. It would make better. Yeah.
They're so worn out.
I don't know why it never occurred to me before.
No, I never thought about it.
I mean, if you think about it, really, otherwise, what's the point of forced labor?
It's true.
Yeah, you got a great.
We're not taking advantage. We need to be more efficient with our indentured servitude. My question to you before we move on here too is, look, before we move on to Russia and in China and all the racism that exists across the globe outside of the United States, filibuster. Stephen Colbert in his comedy wants us to not only end the filibuster but end the Senate.
Oh, okay.
Which we'll talk about.
Oh, good.
And because I know a lot of you folks, sort of switched. A lot of people who watch you were, Democrats who then with Donald Trump sort of were welcomed into the fold. I'm just curious across the generations. I want to see a good sample size. People in their 20s versus people in their 70s. It seems like people have different views of the filibuster. Probably because older people remember when the Democrats used the 2 longest filibusters ever to stop the Civil Rights Act.
Wow.
Yeah, with an actual Klansman.
Really?
So they probably look upon it and are like, oh, I remember that. Whereas 20-year-olds have no idea.
Who was the Klansman?
Robert Byrd.
Oh, right.
He didn't just dabble in Klansmanship. He had dental in a company car. He was a high ranking. Yeah. He had a 401k for lynching.
Isn't it odd they drove a black car?
I have no idea.
That is weird.
I think he was trying to throw us off the scent. Okay, so before we go on to Stephen Colbert, let's start with China since we're talking about communists and people who could become the next global superpower. Hope you enjoy your tweets. For crying out loud. Propaganda in China is look. They just released some new. I haven't watched this yet. I wasn't supposed to. They've made some new propaganda, and apparently it's something. Everyone here said I should see this.
This is real. This is real Chinese state propaganda.
This is real Chinese state propaganda.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
Okay, now I feel uncomfortable that we're doing this on the outside of the show
live
because you're like, we didn't make this. No one's going to believe that for a second.
It would be more likely that SNL made it.
Yeah, okay, all right.
It's that bad.
Okay, all right.
Is it shit?
Yeah, I think that was the point, Dave.
All right, let's watch this. I'm doing a trust fall. Hold on. God.
Because a super spy always prefers to stay low-key.
Is it because M has asked us to become more open to stay secret?
Like, squeeze me. And what have the Chinese done?
Well, according to this dossier, their national security agency was authorized to monitor all phone and internet use
Was
in
this on
193
Chinese Lifetime?
countries.
That's bloody outrageous. I didn't know China produced English language films.
Oh, wait, good grief. That's not China we're talking about. That's America.
Excuse me again?
And they speak American, not English. Dat trap, data trap, fish trap, they're all the same to me. The reality is that we do need money, and only have M to thank for that.
Yabba dabba do. The name is Pond. James Pond.
And how's my lovely Agent Black Widow today?
Who's talking?
Simply
Is that
Spiffy.
Bosley?
Are you still cross-dressing, Mrs. Doubtfire?
It's called undercover work, my dear Black Widow. Hey, Pond, my advice is not to buy yourself a Huawei phone.
But Huawei
Well, that's how you pronounce it.
Wait. How did you know I was going to get one?
I don't think there should be any secrets between you and me, right?
What? You tapped my phone again?
Now he's doing a British accent?
Affirmative. Best presents for best allies.
Wait, why do you suddenly have a British accent now?
Because I've been assigned to spy on the great United Kingdom.
Okay, so first off, it probably would have been better had I watched it before because I have no idea what just happened.
What the hell is that from?
It's Chinese propaganda, but usually
They're
propaganda has a
gathered on the
goal.
radio?
How are they they're trying to convince people of what?
That Americans spy on their people, I guess?
I guess, but then it's something about the United Kingdom. And why is it there's James Pond and then Black Widow and then Bosley, who's a Charlie's Angels thing?
They're just mixing it all together.
Yeah, that's a whole swirl of nonsense.
Yes. Excuse me. Where the hell did they get that from? Like,
Well, they got it from Austin Powers.
I don't know. My other catchphrase. Guy. Remember, because I'm always like, "Squeeze me," and then the audience claps.
They're big fans of you in China.
They are huge.
They have, well, you have it on closed circuit TV at the Uyghur camps.
Yes, that's true. There's a lot of Uyghurs that are big fans.
Ha 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 ha! Funny man, make joke about Detroit. Funny man.
is that punishment or?
I wreck him.
Yeah, this is like Chinese water torture, but for Uyghur. Only watch Dave Landau special.
Tape eye open.
They'll love it.
Like, hey, you guys get more rec time today. No more Landau. No.
It's good. I have a lot of James Pond jokes.
Yes. My God. Does
genre.
anyone know what they're trying to? Are they trying to convince their citizens that Americans spy?
Americans are worse than.
But if they're trying to say that Americans spy on their citizens, they just threw Huawei under the bus.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute.
Highway.
I can't. I still can't.
Highway to shitty
Huawei?
content in China.
Well, and both those actors dug their own graves right after they filmed.
No,
I know.
right
Which they
before.
should have done it before they filmed.
Yeah,
it, because
I
it
know,
must be
right?
exhausting to make
So
something
tired.
that bad.
He only got down about 6 inches.
You tapped my phone again.
I so tired from doing bad British accent, James Pond. Make my mouth sore.
So bad.
For crying out loud, you know what? Look, China, if you're going to make state propaganda, okay, fire a salvo back at the United States. One of the stereotypes that we have of the Chinese people, I'm not saying it's correct, is that you can't act.
I'm actually feeling better about our chances against China.
We'll
right now.
show you. No. We'll show you who can't act. Eat your heart out, Gene Hackman.
They just made that Bollywood film we watched yesterday look good.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, they just sit down and turn on the TV and they're like, what is this? And they just change the channel. It's the same thing. Change the channel. It's the same thing.
Change the channel. It's a Chinese man as an Indian. Boo! Just kidding. Watch more propaganda.
U.S. bad. We good.
We good.
It's Peta Panda.
How about you want my way?
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Thank God for TikTok.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
let's move on to this while we're on the theme of horrendously unfunny. Stephen Colbert's... Gosh. I mean, it's sad for me because Stephen Colbert was really funny. I don't know what you guys thought. You
I
guys can
liked him
comment
a lot,
below on Comedy Central. I thought the character was perfect. I had high hopes when I found out that he would be replacing David Letterman, who I believe is the best of all time.
Yeah, so they follow the best of all time with this.
Yeah. It's like a reverse ringer.
Yeah, like I remember 10 years ago he did an interview for Rolling Stone, and it was all about how he's moderate when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, but I mean I think that is the true him. Like this, he's just a walking Pfizer ad now.
Well, pretty much.
I mean,
he
are we allowed to
dances,
say that?
too.
I'm sorry.
No, they've actually purchased his body space.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, then it was a contract dispute because Moderna's having him wrapped.
Yes, that's true.
They had his soul, but he's the first person to actually sell his body as well.
Yep.
He bundled.
Yep.
Johnson & Johnson's like, we'll be over here.
Yeah, we'll be over here.
We have killed enough.
We figured that we get more bang for our buck, more real estate dollar with James Corden.
Yes.
We just put him on a post in Times Square. People are none the wiser.
No More Tears was a really bad idea for
He is the
slogan.
best agent ever. James Corden is now doing Weight Watchers commercials.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is he watching it go up?
It's like hitting them with a mallet at the carnival.
Yeah.
Ding! Oh no! Whoa! Give me another job!
I got more fat.
I lost all this weight. What'd you do? I don't swallow anymore.
Oh yeah! Oh gosh! Not on the outset.
What? It's
Weight
talking about
Watchers.
food. Talking about
Yeah,
sandwiches.
yeah.
Talking
You
about
just-
sandwiches.
Yeah.
Talking about giant.
All right, so Monday, Stephen Colbert not only ranted about the Phil, and this is the thing, I do give a lot of leeway to comedians. They need that space.
Yeah.
But when they don't use it for comedy at all,
Using
and I'm
cats.
not just saying this because I disagree with him, objectively,
Yeah.
this is beyond Clapter. He advocates at first for ending the filibuster, which you'll see. But then he has Elizabeth Warren on, and he goes so hard left that it makes Elizabeth Warren go into her dad, white dad at wedding dance, which is how she always talks, like a marionette. Here, watch.
Democrats hope to spend the holiday passing much-needed voting rights legislation. To do that, they have to modify the filibuster. But that dream died last week. Thanks to Arizona Senator and Mrs. Hamburglar, Kyrsten Sinema. Last week, Senator Sinema took to the Senate floor to announce that while she values voting, The filibuster is their first love.
While I continue to support these bills, I will not support separate actions that worsen the underlying disease.
Remember when
of
Carson used to
division
run 2-minute
infecting
clips
our
from
country?
C-SPAN?
What is the
so
legislative
funny.
filibuster other than a tool that requires new federal policy to be broadly supported by senators representing a broader cross-section of Americans?
Reasonable.
No.
Yeah.
No. Not representing a broader cross-section of Americans.
Yes.
The 50
Yes, it does.
senators who are currently filibustering the voting rights bill represent 41 million fewer Americans than the senators who support it.
Oh, we'll
Stop
fact check that. Don't
acting
worry.
like the filibuster
Thank God.
is anything other.
Only joke thus far is Hamburglar.
Stop acting
And it
like the
wasn't good.
filibuster is
No.
anything other than an anti-democratic tool, which is also a pretty good description of Kirsten Sinema.
Step aside, Don Rickles.
If you can't get rid of the filibuster,
Oh, boy.
what about, and
It's
just hear me out
Tomahawk
here and try to
Jones.
hear
Okay.
this objectively.
I'm ready.
What if
Ew.
we just get rid of the Senate? And I'm 100% serious here.
It's hard to
It
tell.
is the most anti-democratic institution next to the
Wrong.
judiciary, because the judiciary is only the way it is because the Senate is the way
Also
it
wrong.
is. No one would drop a single tear. You've already got tenure. You can go back to your old job. You'll be fine.
She doesn't even know how
Spend
to
more
handle
time
this
with bailing
because it's so
proofs,
far
okay?
away.
I have-
I
She
don't
hasn't been on TV since
understand
Silver
what
Spoons.
possible positive purpose the United States Senate provides right now.
Watch this.
I'm kind of retarded.
Wow. Look,
Ugh.
I hear you.
Now, first off, there's just something so off-putting. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like the way a white dad dances at a wedding. Like,
That's her native movements. Be careful.
Yeah, it's her native movements. Yeah,
Come
No,
on.
but she is just the most awkward human being in
Yeah.
any conversation.
It's her rain dance,
I
and then there's a
don't know.
flood. Oh no! What purpose does the Senate serve? Has he never seen Schoolhouse Rock? Does he want the redacted version? And then I'll be sitting in committee, and then I'll just be law because I came from Elizabeth Warren's husband Snatch. I get pegged all the time. No. I mean, look, the whole reason is there's a check and balance, right?
Yes.
You go through a process. And keep in mind, we'll talk about this tomorrow. When people say you want to fundamentally transform America, they accuse the right of wanting to do this by a few people, who were, the most violent insurrection that's ever taken place, had a problem with the certification of the election when states actually, violated their own state constitutions. Let's talk about that. We'll talk about it. Who wants to fundamentally transform America? You want to do away with the filibuster. This guy wants to do away with the Senate. Name me one thing that conservatives want to fundamentally transform that would take us away from the America that you've known and loved.
Yeah.
Second Amendment? No. First Amendment? No. Property rights? No. Free speech? No. We can go through it. A permanent
tax
renting
dollars?
class? No. The left wants to do away with all of it. They want to pack the court. They want to end the filibuster. So let's just picture that for a second. You wonder what it would take for us to be Australia, to be Canada, to be the UK? It would, get rid of the filibuster, get rid of the Senate, which even Elizabeth Warren is like, I don't know. And then pack the court. There are no checks and balances.
None whatsoever. And by the way, what he really should be saying is we couldn't convince all of our members of our party to vote for this legislation, or 8 other people in the Senate to vote for this legislation. And so now we're pouty-faced and we're trying to take our ball and go home.
It's like you're the worst used car salesman ever, and so you just want to mandate people to buy your old Buick.
That should be a sign that the legislation that you're trying to pass is a bad idea. By the way, House and Senate, House represents the will of the people because you have to be voted in every 2 years. We wanted adults in the Senate that weren't going to be AOC, basically.
And by the way, when he says 40-something million Americans, they also include non-citizens. Let's just think about that for a second. So pack the Supreme Court, end the filibuster so you can ram everything through. And by the way, let's make sure that the majority can obviously be tyrannical. They can
it goes from
infringe on the rights of the minority.
democratic to just totalitarian.
It goes to mob rule and then totalitarianism. And by the way, the people who are determining your elected officials may not even be citizens of this country. So this is I think I found the disconnect. People say, why can't we find common ground? And we used to be able to. Like if you look back at a JFK, if you look back at JFK, and Nixon,
that ended well.
Yeah, they had a lot more in common. If you look at JFK and Nixon, you even look at Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton. Right, they had more in common. The issue here is right now when he says 41 million people, he's talking about people who should not be required to have identification whatsoever in voting. And by the way, there's been legislation, of course, we just talked about this in Manhattan, where you don't even have to be a citizen. The right, at least, or certainly people in this room, when we are talking about people who should be represented in our government, we are talking about American citizens. The left is speaking to everyone but, because that's what they require as a new voting base for consistent results.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it goes back and forth, and we're back to checks and balances.
Yeah, it's the most idiotic argument I've ever heard. The House gives that extra representation for people that are states that have more people and districts that have more people in them. Done. Problem solved. Move on. But they are losing, and they don't like losing.
And 75% of Americans support voter ID, but I know there's a cultural disconnect. No, 73% of Black Americans support voter ID.
Oh, well, that's racist against themselves then.
Why is the Democrat Party so racist? Why are you going against the will of your Black constituents, now known as the moderate wing of your party?
You mean the wing that started voting for Donald Trump in record numbers?
You know what I want? We should start a whitehouse.org or whatever the petition whatever it is, changed. Which one is the thing? I don't know.
Change.org?
For Elizabeth Warren to spend 20 minutes in any Black urban area, any in the country. Just see how she fares.
No, I would. We have to pick a special place.
Hey, kids, would you like to have some of my soul food? What the
Is this like Die Hard 3 where she has to wear like a placard as well? And walk in?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Die Hard 3. I don't understand the reference.
Come on.
You have seen Die Hard.
How dare you?
I've not seen Die Hard 3.
It's a sandwich board that is very racist.
Is it?
It
Yes.
is.
I seriously haven't seen Die Hard 3.
Oh, it's very racist.
All right, well, bring it up on Mug Club because I'm sure what was allowed in the theaters now would not be permissible.
No,
on
but
YouTube.
we will have her stand in Harlem with the very same sandwich.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
But I'm Native American.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a Democrat.
I was here first.
Stop hitting me with a bottle.
I bet we outlawed 40s. We can't get big goals, but you can still have 40s. That doesn't seem right.
I haven't seen an OE64 handle since my younger days.
Back when I was doing
I loved malt liquor.
Worked every time, something like that.
Made me feel good.
So now we'll move on to China a little bit and then go into Russia. I don't usually like speaking on international issues because I largely don't care. Unfortunately, and what do I mean by that is America is the best country in the world and America is the most significant player in the world, and I just don't care that much. I was raised in Canada, and all we did was focus on the United States. So now that I'm in the United States, I just focus on the United States. That being said, not a big fan of Russia, not a big fan of China. And if you see what's happening internationally and you compare it to what was taking place for the 4 years under Donald Trump, there is a stark contrast. Yeah. Again, let's not talk about mean tweets. Let's talk about results. So Monday, Golden State Warriors part owner Chamath, let me make sure I have this right, Chamath Palihapitiya. Chamath Palihapitiya. Get an American name.
It's
Chamath Smith.
It's Palihapitiya.
Palihapitiya. Okay.
Of course.
I'm sure none of us got that right. Yeah. He says, this is Golden State Warriors. He's a part owner. He said on this podcast that no one, now for those of you who don't know, Uyghurs are Chinese Muslims, and there's an actual genocide that's been going on.
Oh, I was way off.
Yeah. This is what he said on his podcast about Uyghurs.
Nobody cares about. Nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs. Okay, you bring it up because you really care, and I think that's nice that you care. The rest of us don't care.
What?
I'm just telling you a very hard.
Wait, you're saying you personally don't care?
I'm telling you a very hard, ugly truth. Okay, of all the things that I care about, yes, it is below my line. Okay, of all the things that I care about, it is below my line.
So that's one of those things that even if you feel that evilly, you don't say it.
Yeah, I thought this was like a parody, and somebody was lying to me, and it was clickbird or something.
No, I know.
No, I think publicly saying you're for genocide is a bad thing.
You would think so. I mean, I'm even just a little bit nervous. Like if if I go bird watching and I point, I'm like, let me get my hand. I don't want to, accidentally salute.
Right.
Yeah. And this guy's just like, I don't give a rat's ass what you do to Chinese Muslims. Kill them. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean,
how often are you bird watching?
It's a cover.
You just go to Point Pelee, Michigan?
Yes.
You're like, that's the red-breasted sparrow.
Well, I'm still aiming for a good year for people who birdwatch get that. Now, let's contrast this with how the Warriors head coach, Steve Kerr, I believe is his name. See, I don't know sports that well, but I do remember this, reacted to the shooting of, now keep in mind, for those who have forgotten, black guy, Jacob Blake, who was violating a restraining order against his baby mama who he had sexually assaulted before, and she called the cops. So let's compare what that guy just said about Chinese Uyghur Muslims, actual genocide, actual racism, versus the race baiting that you see from the Golden State Warriors coach, Mr. Kerr.
What I think I've learned that's most important is really the definition of racism. You know, I think as a white person, I think we all think of racism as an act. We think of some person using a bad racial epithet to refer to somebody. Or
that would be words.
A guy in a hood, burning a cross. Racism is really a system.
Look at your house, jackass. It's huge.
Well, see, I think lots of us think of racism as, actions, like someone, someone actually being racist. But in reality, it's something more nebulous that I can't define. But the good thing is you said system. So let's hold you to system. Do you mean like a system that systematically sterilizes Muslim Chinese citizens, Uyghurs? That's what's happening when you look at the actual genocide that's going on in China right now. And I've known about this for a while because I went to Guantanamo Bay and there was a Uyghur prison.
Oh, really?
I remember it, and I thought the term was funny, and that's when I learned about it in 2009. And there's also pretty strong evidence to suggest that China is engaging in organ harvesting of ethnic minorities in China. But it makes you wonder, why do you think the NBA...
It's hard to...
Why don't they care? Is it possible? Oh, wait, that's right. Maybe because they have a $500 million annual contract with China right now, $1.5 billion over the next 5 years, signed with just one Chinese company, Tencent.
Well,
yeah.
Well, that might do it, I guess.
They're going to sit there and they're going to take a knee for a guy who's not even in their sport, and then they're completely silent at forced sterilization. By the way, and I'm also confused because I thought you guys loved Muslims.
Yeah. I thought that was your favorite religion.
I don't understand the hierarchy anymore. I really don't.
No, there's a line.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he cares below it.
He cares below it.
Yeah. Uyghurs.
He's like, I like to think of it more of as an asshole thermometer.
Right. Yeah. Him making $500 million is above the line. I know that's not just his money. It goes to the rest of the NBA teams. It gets distributed. But by the way, this guy in California feels so comfortable and knows that he will not get called out on this, that he says that on a podcast that is publicly available to anyone.
His own podcast.
Yeah, his own podcast.
Yeah.
He feels so comfortable in his bubble in the People's Republic of California that he feels...
Does he realize that the internet is a global phenomenon?
Okay, why don't we try and switch this a little bit? Now, I don't want this taken out of context, so I'm going to be very careful.
Then don't.
Here. All right, so let's just say, this is like an NBA owner like this guy saying, not me, this guy saying, yeah, the things that are going on in Rwanda are just, he would say, below his line.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
In Africa, you remember when that acts of genocide were happening and genocide was happening? Hotel Rwanda, that great movie.
Yeah, it was something about the
fantastic
Motel 6 in
portrayal
Baltic
of it,
Avenue.
so you could see it, right?
Yes.
That would be below his line of things to care about. Do you think the world might go, well, wait a minute, what? How can you possibly say that?
Well, I think you get an angry call from Don Cheadle.
Alec Baldwin and Glenn Ross wouldn't say that behind closed doors.
Right.
I mean,
know
that
what
is
it takes
insane.
to commit genocide, Dave?
Do you know what a pull your dick out move that was? To just say, I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
I don't care about organ harvesting. I'll take 2 livers.
What's my name? F you, that's my name. Yeah, but I do care about Uyghurs because I'm not a monster.
Yes. I have a fridge filled with kidneys just in case mine don't work.
Qurans are for closers.
You see that watch? That watch is not worth as much as a Uyghur life because all life is precious.
So now, here it would be one thing if they were supporting, let's say, a government that was progressive, right? The Chinese Communist government. I call it CCP for short, but you can take it. So the Communist Chinese government, the Chi-Coms, you can use that term.
There we go.
I coined it. But let's look at the track record of not only the Communist Chinese government, but a lot of people don't understand this because you think that all racism is just white versus black in the United States. You know what? I don't know how to get to this. Let's just this is pretty racist, and it happened in China recently. Yeah. And it's not just the one guy saying it; it's the whole group of people around this guy who support him saying it.
But against a basketball team.
Yes, against a basketball team, which is also, the irony here with the NBA. I don't know how this works, and you'll understand what I'm saying once you watch this clip.
Oh, fuck you! Oh my! What did I just see? What?
Stephen, if I may, the Chinese phrase "ni ga" is similar. That'll be used against me. Is similar to or well.
That's what.
So I'm pretty sure they're trying to say in their culture. It's a nice. He's trying to think of a nice compliment for the sportsman coming out of the bus. So it's like if you play it again, like I want to show you guys in context.
Yeah,
you know that it's a mix up.
Okay, it's a dialect thing.
It's okay. Yeah, it's simply a dialect, and you'll see from the clips.
Mm-hmm.
So this is culturally specific. So based on your native language, like in China, the common word is that. So in China, it might be nega. Nega. This is culturally specific.
Fuck you. What's up, my nigga?
See, classic mix-up.
Yeah.
And that just happens.
That's just a class. Well, that would explain.
May he borrow a pencil.
That would explain Kenosha's infamous Joseph Rosenchan.
Yes, that's right.
Wish granted.
How's he doing?
Deep grave.
Yeah.
Oh, very deep.
It's been.
Now here's the thing.
Urine-soaked grave.
I mean, you're going to give a pass to everyone but us?
I hadn't seen the last part of that.
I don't know. What do I need? We've talked about hood pass. Do I need a pedophile pass? Do I need a racist Chinese pass? By the way, we're going to have on Mug Club stuff that we can never talk about on YouTube. Choi Sauce, who's Korean here, he'll be sitting with us on Mug Club for people who are not yet members, describing giving us more context into the inter-Asian racism that exists. There's nationalism. There's actual racial superiority. A lot of people don't understand because they're used to the United States.
Yeah.
And even though to most Americans, the average, for example, let's say North Korean, South Korean, would look more similar than me and Chamath Smith, our differences are actually less significant culturally. And the differences as far as the animosity towards people who they view as another race, for example, if you look at the Japanese and you look at the Chinese in the World War II era and you look at what happened in these internment camps, it's unbelievable hatred based on this idea of racial superiority, and it's baked into a lot of Asian cultures. You need to understand this, and then you can have a better contextualizing of what's going on with Uyghurs. It's not an isolated incident.
Right. And racism doesn't exist outside of the United States. I just want to make sure that's clear from what we're saying here. It's only the United States that are racist, and it's only white people against black people and Asians.
Yes.
No.
To be clear.
Now, Chinese are pretty. They can often be racist towards a lot of other Asians. I think we have a clip here from 2012. Was this the anti-Japanese protests over the Senkaku Islands? Let's roll the clip.
Probably.
At first glance, this might look like an anti-police protest. But these Chinese demonstrators in Shenzhen aren't attacking the vehicle because it's a police car, but because it was made in Japan.
Oh, jeez.
There were similar protests in Beijing, Hong Kong and other cities, targeting Japanese businesses as well as property.
Oh, well, that makes it right.
Yeah. That would be the equivalent to if here in the United States, the people who were, destroying cop cars were actually just a bunch of rednecks. Like, you're driving a Camry, you should have bought American.
Right.
Can you imagine if a Camry was behind you? You're like, I'm not stopping.
Yes. Is that a Corolla? Good
going.
luck.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Don't wait up.
Yeah. Have a good one.
In fairness, the car shouldn't have been dressed that way.
The car should
That
not
is
have been
true. That's what happens.
Car was making eyes.
Call that a rice burner.
And to be fair, also Japanese, they had raped a lot of Chinese people and used them as human guinea pigs.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So, look, they have reason to be upset. About 20 million people died. There was an eyewitness, Lee Kee-hen, who said there are so many bodies in the street, victims of group rape and murder. They were all stripped naked, their breasts cut off, leaving a terrible dark brown hole. Some of them were bayoneted in the abdomen with their intestines spilling out alongside them. Some had a roll of paper, a piece of wood stuffed in. Anyway, the point, we'll have a bunch of references. I don't even feel like talking about this. We'll have a bunch of references.
So they get gender reassignment surgery?
Effectively. But the problem is it's not
voluntary,
their own choice.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to have that unless you're into it.
No, they're not an American 6-year-old.
I see.
They don't have the ability to consent.
If they were only,
So read also up on Unit 731. I have it written here, but I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it.
It's terrible.
It's so awful. It's the kind of thing. If you don't believe in evil, look at what the Japanese did to the Chinese in these internment camps.
I do want my magazine back after.
Well, you read it for the articles.
It is what I have
really
for.
do. Yeah. And the fold-ins.
Ooh. The fold-ins are pretty good.
Fold-ins are.
There's Miss 1937.
That's a James Pond.
No tits.
That was the plan.
So
Give
this
you a boner.
Take that off the soundboard immediately.
Replace it with something worse.
Well, I guess we can move on from China to worse. Let's talk about Russia and the Ukraine right now.
What? Sorry.
So Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is in Kiev today, hoping to calm some tensions, of course, between the Ukraine and Russia. Now, this is because we were on air yesterday, and now we're sort of seeing it develop a little bit more. Russia began sending troops westward into Belarus. Here's a clip to give you some context.
Russia and Belarus will rehearse repelling an external attack when they hold joint military drills in Belarus next month, both sides said on Tuesday. It comes at a time of acute tensions with the West over neighbouring Ukraine. Russian military forces and hardware began arriving in ex-Soviet Belarus on Monday for the drills to be held near Belarus's western border with NATO members Poland and Lithuania. The West has voiced fears of a possible invasion of Ukraine by tens of thousands of Russian troops gathered near its border.
Well, here's the thing. You don't let your heart be troubled because the Ukraine is getting military support from their greatest ally, Canada.
What do they send, Mounties?
Yep. Don't worry. You'll get those piston planes with shotguns any day now.
Don't shoot the propeller.
There's Brendan Fraser on a horse.
Yeah.
I'll save you, Ukraine! Yeah. Ukraine's in trouble! We must save her!
I'm Dudley Do-Rat.
Are they going to keep from having forest fires or something? Come on.
So,
you have a gun?
No! Just this outfit. And this horse!
Yes.
He's Arabian! Look at his feet!
You're eating my horse!
One equine enthusiast is appreciative of that. By the way, speaking of Russia, I don't know how to tie this in. Hit the notification bell if you're watching here on YouTube because the subscription box doesn't mean anything. And that'll let you know when you have new. But really, it's Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, with the exception of sometimes when we shoot live on location or we do a super video where we're putting together a package. Let's move on here with Russia and more so the Soviet Union because, look, if you understand what Russia's looking to do, they're looking to consolidate power. And if you understand why that is dangerous, well, here's the thing. If you don't understand why it's dangerous, I'm confused because didn't the fate of our republic hang in the balance because in 2016, some Russian operatives bought like $3,000 worth of Facebook ads?
No, that's actually not true anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, now.
I'm just confused. I don't understand the rule book
anymore. It was being prostitutes that's actually the problem.
Yeah.
If you're talking about Russia.
They're not a problem.
So Vladimir Putin said, and I watched this and I was like, this guy is just trying to push more propaganda. Not as effective as James Pond.
Nobody can.
Well, that's just charisma.
Not all propaganda is created equal.
Yeah,
huge budget.
Slick sandwich.
Yeah.
More than one cigar.
How funny would it be if they filmed it at the YouTube studios?
Well, I think it'd be more interesting if they didn't.
No. We will film in Marina del Rey. YouTube studio. They're very welcome.
Yes.
Have drawer in fridge just for Chinese propagandists. Thank you, YouTube. Ring, ring. Hello, Susan Wojcicki. Be sure fridge have my overnight oats. So Vladimir Putin said that the U.S. is becoming the Soviet Union. Here's him saying it, and then I actually don't think he's wrong.
Вы знаете, в чем проблема? Я вам это скажу как бывший гражданин бывшего Советского Союза. В чем проблема империй? Им кажется, что они такие могущественные, что они могут позволить себе небольшие погрешности и ошибки. Ничего, этих купим, этих напугаем, с этими договоримся, этим дадим бусы, этим погрозим военными кораблями. И мы решим проблему. Но количество проблем нарастает.
Yes, you do.
И наступает момент, когда с ними уже не справятся. И Соединенные Штаты уверенной поступью, уверенной походкой, твердым шагом идут прямо по пути Советского Союза.
So for people who are listening on audio, and again, if you're not a member of Mug Club or you're not a Rumble, you can listen to us on Apple, on Spotify, on Android. He's talking about why the Soviet Union didn't work as an empire.
Yeah.
And then he's comparing it to the United States. There's something in there that I don't fully understand where he's saying, and they convince some people with battleships and give these other person necklace. I was like,
what?
They give the necklace, you show your titties, and this is how the decadence of the West is the street with bourbon. I don't understand, but I show beads, she shows tits. This is not social contract, which makes sense in Russia. But I am conflicted because I like tits.
She says no 4 times and then maybe.
Yes.
Is yes.
And by the way, maybe in Russia is irrelevant.
Yes,
because no can mean yes.
I look for women with very sexy frown.
Yes. There is, you know what gets me hard as post is resting beach face.
Yes.
It's RBF, very close to KGB.
Beautiful on woman, 3 hairs on face mole.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I like lady who use epilator on upper lip.
Our prison system is filled with men, and many men want to get in there because of the unfortunate appearance of our women.
Yes, that's true. Also, they have better food.
Yes.
At least they
we only get bread outside. No. In the inside, you get bread and protein in the shower.
In prison, that's right. You get all kind. You get 3 square meals a day. You have to get tattoo of Grim Reaper with baby on back,
yes.
but it's price to pay.
It's true.
Now, one of the first things going into sort of the Soviet Union, for people who don't understand the history, the Bolsheviks, one of the first things they did when they seized power, and let's compare this to the United States today, the radical left, okay? And let's be clear. If you're talking about Lenin, Stalin, right, you're talking about Marxism, you are talking about Russia, Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't, I know some of you are going to say, well, you know what, they didn't try socialism correctly. Okay, fine, I get it. You'll make it work with fat pride activists today who don't actually work. Got it. Now, let's use the actual examples of socialism, of Leninism, of communism, how it's been implemented, and how that evolved into the Soviet Union, and compare it to the far left today in the United States. Far left Russia, far left today. Okay, one of the first things the Bolsheviks did when they seized power was they tried to censor the press. Right? That's one of the first things they did. That's what you have to do right away is control the information that goes out. Well, do we have any examples that are comparable to that in the United States today?
I hope not.
Don't play coy.
We do, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We have Facebook, we have Google, we have Twitter. They all blocked. What did they block? They blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story, which would have changed the election. You don't even need to worry about mail-in voting. According to the American people, their vote would have been changed had they seen the Hunter Biden laptop story. You have COVID treatments. You have the vaccine efficacy. You're not allowed to speak out on these things. You get fact-checked. We've been suspended for that. They deplatformed a sitting president in Donald Trump.
But not the Ayatollah Khomeini.
Not the Ayatollah Khomeini.
Yep. No. Calling for the destruction of the Jews. He wouldn't,
You know what? Hell, not even that guy who's the Golden State Warriors co-owner saying, you can kill all the Muslims.
It doesn't meet the bar.
Just think about that for a second.
Not tall enough.
You get rid of Donald Trump and that guy stays?
Yeah.
We don't even need to get to Hezbollah. Just him. Just ban the Golden State Warriors. How about that?
Can we send them all to that crowd that was obviously chanting in their native tongue?
Yeah, they were chanting, I like black people.
Yeah, we totally misunderstood.
Of course, also in the Chinese dialect, fuck you means, I love the colored man.
No. Fuck you, like the faux. Fuck.
I want soup.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I want soup from colored man.
That's, well, I don't know about the other part.
I want black man soup. Now we have the translation.
There we go. Yeah, that's better. We're getting
bitch.
there.
So let's, Stalin, while we go through kind of the media and also control the narrative, what did they do? They purged not only media, but removed disgraced figures from photographs, right? They tried to erase a portion of history.
Right, they just randomly chose who those disgraced figures were.
Yes.
Right?
And do we have anything comparable to that in the United States?
Unfortunately.
Well, I don't think anybody's removed statues.
George Washington, Teddy Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, and Abraham Lincoln. And again, you would think like, okay, George Washington, they were slaves. And okay, Abraham Lincoln?
Remember, he is famous for having a hangover, though, and saying, I freed the what?
Yes, yeah, he also had a crazy wife.
He freed the what? He had a bender, okay?
His crazy headache-ridden wife. What a pain in the ass.
I know.
I think it was because he gave her syphilis.
Well, you know what?
And he was like, don't tell... Weirdo.
I don't know how
She's
that worked.
She's
back
upstairs screaming because her brain itches.
Sally Field bitching
John Wilkes saw Thank God You Arrived. Go ahead.
Sally Field played it really well.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. She didn't even know the cameras were rolling.
No. They were like, just be yourself.
So we have that. We have those statues that are removed. And I joked about this, I think, in 2016, back when we were in my den in Michigan. I said, well, look, I understand people, but where does this end? We're going to be removing the statues of Abraham Lincoln because some of the things that he said would still be considered problematic? What about Martin Luther King Jr.? Just the other day, I'm having to use his own words, and I'm going, I can't say the words that he uses to describe black people. I don't think he had any disdain for black people. By the way, he referred to them as That was the problem.
Yeah,
So Soviet propaganda. Let's go through this 1985 CIA video about Soviet propaganda. I think we have these. Is this next clip side by side or no?
No.
Okay, so then I'll show you the next clip. A striking similarity I've noticed between the Soviet. We've changed history. We've changed the media. We've now effectively gotten rid of portions of history.
Yeah.
And we've made sure that we can control the media. This is what the Soviets did, right? They understood this was important to shape the now. So the now, right now, the vast majority of Americans get their information from where? 3 companies. 3 companies, right? You're talking about Google, Alphabet, which is Google and YouTube, Facebook, Instagram is one company, and then you add Twitter, kind of, although Twitter is a distant third, and you could add Apple and Amazon in the mix. So let's say 5 companies to be generous, although really it's 3, 90% of information that travels. They've gotten rid of a sitting president, and they decided to ban some stories that actually affected the outcome of the election. Okay, so now you are able to shape the now. Okay, well, the now that you're living in, people who are watching right now, you at home, the economy sucks. You know it. I know it. But of course, the media wants to act as though you don't know it. And this is where the similarity becomes very apparent. In Soviet Russia, they decided, rid of history, control the media. Now let's shape the now, even though the entire world knew their economy was awful. They made sure that the media told a different story.
The Soviet media go to great lengths to portray the leadership as thoroughly committed to the welfare of the common man. Shortcomings in the supply of consumer goods are attributed to individual cases of managerial inefficiency and corruption on the part of lower-level functionaries. The leadership provides excuses and scapegoats for its economic problems in an effort to deflect criticism from higher officials and the communist system.
Not scapegoat, that was sheep. One time.
Yes.
Not a goat.
It's beautiful, beautiful sheep.
It was beautiful sheep. This goat is just a rumor. Now, this is very similar to, let's think about today's economy with Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg. They were blaming Kroger. They were also trying to claim that the inflation that you're seeing that harms all Americans,
Big Kroger,
is good.
Part of what's happening isn't just the supply side, it's the demand side. Demand is off the charts. Retail sales are through the roof. And if you think about those images of ships, for example, waiting at anchor on the West Coast, every one of those ships is full of record amounts of goods that Americans are buying.
It's a great job. This guy does have sex with Billy Goat.
Yes.
It's just goat named Billy.
His mouth is named supply and his ass is demand.
Terrifying recession.
Think of the example right now, for example, with grocery stores. Remember how many grocery stores there used to be? And now what you've got is a handful of giant chains. And then what happens? Kroger.
Makes money.
They want to put you all back in Kroger's.
Third quarter of 2021 were almost $900 million. That was more than 3 times what their profits were in the same time period in 2019. Now, if they are able to expand profits, not expand prices, expand profits, that's because they have a lot of market dominance here.
Yes, take it from little boy and mushroom cut and man who have sex with Billy Goat. Sorry, Billy Goat have sex with him.
Well, yes, it's power bottom.
Yes.
Macaulay Culkin drawing from Kid with Glasses movie.
I love when your Senator Warren go, ah!
Yes, Page Master tell you not to go to Big Kroger.
Yes, and she's also the good son.
Yes.
I love how she totally discredited her own army. She's like, well, they didn't raise their prices. They just got more efficient and made more money.
Right. Well, that's a problem.
What?
Not as much of a problem as the Senate or filibuster existing.
Well, it's
astonishing.
Undemocratic.
We're selling more products at the same price. You son of a bitch.
That is profiteering if I've ever seen it.
The opposite of price gouging.
No,
you're providing more.
Price stability-ing.
Yes, we need giant bread lines.
These are not bread lines. These are lines for bakery because it's opening day sale for less 692 days.
So much demand, you see.
Now, here's some Soviet propaganda that mirrors that exactly from New York Times. Sorry, this is the New York Times reporter Walter Duranty that wrote, Russians hungry but not starving.
Oh, good.
Deaths from disease due to malnutrition high, yet the Soviet is entrenched. This is the New York Times. You know what? Maybe McCarthy was right.
Maybe he had a point.
Entire country. I'm hungry. Look, you're hungry. You're not starving.
Yeah. Oh.
Have you ever heard of intermittent fasting? It's a great way to raise growth hormones, speed up metabolism. How you do is you eat nothing for 19 days.
Yes, I walk through now drinking a cup of coffee, and I look around and see boys with flies on face.
Yep, that's how I do, but I don't even notice them because I had my coffee with coconut oil. Got to get your MCTs, I'm bulletproof.
Who would write that? Yeah, they're hungry.
They're hungry but not starving. This is the New York Times. Just to make sure I have this right, New York
Yeah.
Times reporter Walter Durante wrote this.
In the United States. This is a United States citizen writing this.
Incredible asshat.
And by the way, in exchange for the propaganda, I don't know if you know this, the Soviet Union or Moscow, they rewarded Durante with a huge apartment, a car, and a mistress.
Ah.
And all the sandwiches Russians could eat.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, his mistress was Lizzo.
Right, yeah.
That
Well,
is
we
fair.
pulled fast one. You thought it was going to be Billy Goat. No, it's just gross.
I know where all the bread went.
There's only 2 ways out of this place, in her or in the body bag. Your choice.
More room in her. I'd choose her if I were you.
By the way, for whenever she is no longer around, we need very, very deep grave.
If she is very deep, if she goes on top, your pelvis will break, you will die instantly.
Yes, and instead of recovering, we will just use tarp to save time.
Shatter the anus.
Now let's compare this to the United States. That was the U.S.
Above
talking about
ground
Russia.
pool will be caskets.
Yes.
Like Chernobyl, dumb concrete all over.
Yes, that's it. And we'll put flowers in it, make it a nice little, Turablinka.
Unlike Hoffa, we cannot hide this.
No, we can. The United States, CNN, what they actually wrote here about today's economy. Why inflation can actually be good for everyday Americans and bad for rich people. Yeah, I'm sure that's really hitting Bezos where it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez, that's a rounding error on my daily interest.
He's like, it's fine. Half my products are laying on the train tracks in Los Angeles, and I'm still a billionaire.
I don't think Susan Wojcicki could tell you what the gas price per gallon has been in the last 10 years.
No.
I'll tell you what, the more well-off I became, and I'm certainly not rich not rich, but I consider myself very fortunate, I become less concerned with gas. In other words, it makes it easier for me to drive a larger car because I want something safer for my kids.
Yeah.
It's less of something that needs to be taken into account. It's less of a factor.
Yeah, daily food and necessities for people who don't have a lot of money. When those prices go up, they don't really care. It's actually good for them, Steve.
Right, yeah.
No, it helps them. Listen, they're hungry, but they're not starving.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Price of gas will go up 40%. Will even playing field with Jeff Bezos. Now you have fighting chance.
Bicycles. It's better for education. Not education, but it's better for them to get, the exercise.
Also ride bicycle to work. Yes, because it's better for environment. And that's why, not because we have no vehicles.
Yes. Stop global warming or some shit.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Not like there's shortage of, take your pick.
Everything.
So CNN wrote this. That was CNN. New York Times also wrote, the economy is good, so why do we feel terrible about it? Time wrote, is this journalistic gaslighting?
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the term is thrown around so flippantly now.
It is.
Does this not apply right here? The New York Times, no, actually, everything's great. So why do you feel? Maybe the problem is you.
How's the economy great? We're printing all the money we want.
Yeah, exactly.
It's endless.
Yeah. Have you ever played Monopoly?
Have you seen the stock market we're propping up? It's doing great.
It's doing fantastically well. I mean, you said BlackRock just made another $19 trillion, and they were deemed too big to fail, so they'll get your tax dollars. I mean, what more do you want from us?
Kroger's doing awesome.
I mean, they're unreal. They own the world, Kroger.
Wait, hold on a second. You may think the economy is going poorly, Mr. Middle-Class American, but have you seen Pfizer's stock?
That's true.
It's gone up.
If anybody invested before the pandemic, you're a rich man.
Someone look into Stephen Colbert for insider trading tips.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm sure one of the dancing syringes. Yeah, we're like, hey, guess what? Stock prices are going to soar.
I just gave
and it's not because of this sketch.
No.
So Time wrote the secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. Let's go on to this too. Soviet Union, United States. I think we've made that case pretty convincingly. And again, all references available at louderwithcrowder.com. You get rid of the past statutes, history, founding principles of this country. All right, then you control the media, then you gaslight the citizens, you just tell them that what they're experiencing is not real. And there are other things there are other important factors that need to be incorporated here. Another one that's very important with the Soviet Union, or it was important, and it's important with today's left, you've got to get rid of religion. You've got to get rid of foundational principles. Even if let's say you're not a Christian, let's say you're an atheist, you understand the tradition, at least, and why it matters, certainly, to this country. Hopefully you would understand the cultural significance. I see a lot of people now who sort of have come around on that.
Yeah.
The people who used to use flying spaghetti monster analogies. Yeah. Because,
I always loved that one.
I watched that YouTube video too.
Well, and the one with the fish walking on the back of the cars, I loved it.
Yeah, I know. And then right next to coexist, it's like, but the one before that is you being an asshole.
Yeah, it's like Pac-Man. C's eating all the rest of the letters, guys.
So the Soviets used propaganda to effectively erase religion. This is something I think a lot of you know. It was a distinctly atheistic worldview. I mean, people say religion is the cause of all wars and deaths. I don't know, a few 100 million, Stalin and Mao.
Yeah, Russia's like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
The Spanish Inquisition was rough.
Yeah, it was rough as well. Still, I don't even know. I don't even know if it shows up as a blip compared to what you had in Maoist China, what you had with Stalin, for crying out loud.
Not even close.
And the point is, people fight for a litany of reasons. That being said, there are certain values that didn't exist until, let's be specific, modern Christendom, like mercy, like generosity to people who aren't members of your own faith. Do you know how I know that's true? Hey, how many outsiders did Soviet Russia help? Hey, wait a second. How many Islamic charities exist today to help non-Muslims? You name any? It's an exclusively... Now, you may say, well, that was because of colonization. That was because of the missionary work. Fine. At the very least, they're still helping people, going across the globe to help people where they stand nothing to gain. Well, they stand to gain converting them. And...
They can say no and keep the well that was dug to give them water. There's no Muhammad's purse.
Right.
Okay?
No, there is no Muhammad's purse.
It just doesn't exist.
It's Salvation Islam.
That you guys know of.
So remember when you guys used to pray to, I don't remember this guy who was pretty popular for Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not anymore.
Bill Cosby said that was his brother's name.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I can't fact check him.
Was GD.
Now and evermore. We ask it in the name of the monotheistic God, Brahma, and God known by many names, by many different faiths.
You ugly.
A man and a woman.
And an idiot. Oh, somebody help.
I love this one.
Floyd,
she couldn't get up.
Oh, thank you, George Floyd.
For sacrificing your life for justice.
He did?
Yes. We hope you're up there with all the speedballs you can snort.
Right, Chuck Gerald.
The Father and the Son and the cup of soup.
Yes.
All the fentanyl you could ever want, that's like a grain of rice is probably all you're going to need. I feel like that's what did it in the first place, but hey.
They're crying out loud, praying to George Floyd.
Yeah. So, George Floyd woke up. I think I'm going to sacrifice myself.
Yeah,
that's not what happened.
Thank you, George Floyd. And by the way, amen is not, it's not a gender, it's
a woman.
We agree.
A woman.
They're not even smart with their anti-Christian.
And the monotheistic God, the one with all the hands and heads, that one's my favorite.
Yeah. The elephant with the, the one with all the elephant with all these arms. Yeah, that one.
The really vengeful God that kills or converts everyone else. We all know who that one is.
It isn't like amen.
Yeah. Well, it's a woman.
When
Has anyone seen my Desmond Tutu scarf? I need to kneel.
I like when he does double dutch walking into the church.
I really wish we had the footage where Nancy Pelosi, right after kneeling, could not get up and had to have help. She's like,
Yeah, well, she had just she insider trading with Life Alert.
Yeah, she flipped her jacket around like Will Smith in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. That's the Life Alert commercial I would love to see, Nancy Pelosi, but not just where she's on the floor like in the post-mortem. I want to see the fall. Yeah. Let me show her tumbling down the stairs. So, then I will purchase Life Alerts for all family members.
I want to see a dark room and a hamper on her.
Yes. Yes.
Just the bottom of the steps.
Yeah. Her developing pictures in a dark room.
She hasn't done any manual labor, anything around the house ever.
No, nor has Joe Biden. That's another thing. Joe Biden fake talks tough. That's a man who has pushed pencils his entire life and got some hair plugs and convinced himself that he's a tough guy.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, because he beat somebody with a chain at a pool, supposedly, in the 1930s.
Yeah, well, and the guy didn't even see it coming.
Not a joke.
Some random guy. He just walked in and was like, hey, what'd I tell you? The guy's like, what? Was that guy talking to me? Did he say? He kept saying, what'd I tell you? Did he say anything?
Hey. Kid used to push my leg hair down. Okay.
Loved it.
So let's also look at some of the policies between the Soviet Union and the United States. The Soviets instituted a national system of preschool facilities. Now, Lenin called these facilities the sprouts of communism. He claimed that they would liberate the woman, in reality diminish and eliminate her inequality to a man through enhancing her role in social production and social life. Because if Lenin is known for anything, it's improving social lives of the ladies.
Yes. He loves the ladies.
By dating them.
And the ladies love him. Yes. And by love him, I mean at gunpoint, do weird sex things.
Yeah. I mean, very, very afraid.
Yes.
How did that women's lib work out for you guys?
Well, that's not what we call it here.
No.
Oh, so Hitler actually
we don't call it women's lib so much as the shooting squad.
It was called Hitler Youth. That was also bad.
Well, you know, I like the youth part.
Yeah.
The Hitler, not so much.
Not so much.
It's no need to throw baby out with bathwater.
No, but we will throw out the baby if you don't do what we say.
Well, we throw out baby because there's only so much food.
So one child.
What, we can't be going around having babies.
You've seen Lizzo. She eats lots.
Yes. She's mainly what takes your food.
Well, she did eat lots. Thank you, Lizzo. You will be remembered.
Big lots.
Big statue in your honor.
So a major component, too, of Biden's Build Back Better was what? Universal pre-K and subsidized childcare, which I know you would say sounds good because free stuff, yeah, always sounds good. But think about that for a second. That would increase the state influence from not only grade school, high school, and then if you forgive all student loans, university. I mean, you're just talking about government indoctrination for over a decade of someone's life. Now this would go all the way to 3 years old.
Yeah, so 3 to 22, essentially, you would have government influence on your life. I'm not good at math, but that sounds like about 18 years.
I don't understand. Look, you guys can... Do you notice this disconnect that takes place? This is something like when people talk about sort of common ground and... You notice how people used to, on the left, typically, sort of the patchouli-wearing hippies, they used to talk about big money, right?
Yeah.
They would bitch about Big Pharma. Well, that's gone now because they're doing ads for Big Pharma. They would talk about a conflict of interest, right? Citizens United. Well, hold on a second. Why does that only apply when, let's say, some owner of a business is giving to a PAC to lobby a politician, but you don't see a conflict of interest when that politician is funding these institutions themselves? Do you really think that government doesn't have a conflict of interest when they are in charge of your children for 8-9 hours a day from 3 years old to 22? Do you think that government is going to be able to objectively teach that child about the risks of the corruption of government? Where did your conflict of interest sniffer go? Is it me? All of a sudden, we understand because it's not required for me to cease my understanding of human nature to maintain my worldview. In other words, I fully believe that people who run businesses will become corrupt. I fully believe that power and wealth can corrupt. That's why I don't think that Chase Bank or Bank of America should be too big to fail.
Right.
That's why I don't want subsidies. I fully understand that, and I fully believe that that applies to people who have unfettered power in government, who've often never worked a day in the private sector in their lives. Only one side says, oh my gosh, well, you know, people who are rich and Kroger, those people are corrupt. You know, people who are rich in the technology, those people are corrupt. You know, people who are rich in the moment, those people are corrupt. But the people who, have made millions of dollars, have increased their net worth 4,000% as our representatives, their heart's pure and true. It has to apply across the board.
Yeah. You know, one other thing you do, and we just mentioned it, I'll just wedge this in here. You change the rules to pass legislation. You change the fundamental rules by getting rid of the filibuster, trying to get rid of the Senate, and then you pack judiciary so that they can rule in your favor.
Yeah.
Like, those guys would be like, oh, man, like you're following the playbook step by step.
Yeah.
And the Russia judiciary pack you.
Yeah. Patrick Duffy.
Yes.
But he is now judge.
Step by step, day by day, throw you down them.
It's unbelievable. All right, Fredo.
Hey, don't call me.
I don't know why that's their only adaptation to the Patrick Duffy sitcom intro song is "Throw You Down."
Throw you down
Throw you down
step. Yes. Step by step, you will regret what you've said.
Then Melissa Joan Hart makes her cameo. What?
Step by step, then boom, back
Gosh,
up.
is there anyone more annoying than Melissa Joan Hart for crying out loud?
You explained nothing in your whole series.
So Leninist Russia, what else did they do? Well, they tried to destroy sexual norms and gender differences. This means things like easy access to abortion, things like gay marriage. Let's compare that to the United States. Well, I'll just repeat exactly what I just said. Abortion, gay marriage. Okay, I think you know what I'm talking about here. It's like, look, you guys can be for these things, but you have to acknowledge at a certain point the similarities across the board. Something else that's pretty important when you need to create an empire, when you need a state-dependent people, is you have to, just like we just talked about, erasing historical figures. Why do you do that? Because these people need to be othered. They are bad. They are historical figures that should not be remembered. They were corrupt. You also have to do that in the now by othering political enemies. Of course, you know that the Soviets did this. The enemies of the state, they were diagnosed with a new mental illness called sluggish schizophrenia.
Yeah, they're completely insane seeing people. So much so that they were kind of lazy about it. You can't really.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean,
it was defined by this is from we have the source up here, right? References available, Cambridge. Anti-Soviet thinking, delusions of reformism, and overvaluing freedom. This is telltale signs of sluggish schizophrenia. Ask your doctor about Gulag. See if Gulag is right for you.
Yes. Do you have hopes of freedom? Take Gulag.
Take Gulag.
Yes, pure Serbia.
Do you believe that life matters? Gulag.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, every answer is Gulag.
Side effects might include Gulag.
Yes.
And death by Lizzo.
Yes. Do you have sluggish schizophrenia?
Yes.
No.
Sluggish schizophrenia. I will read this again because you probably think I am joking. But you know it's true because of legitimate accent. Anti-Soviet thinking, delusions of reformism, overvaluing freedom, and moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. What is
yes.
Not mild.
Yes, he's from asbestos.
So what do we have here in the United States? Anything similar? Well, what do we have? We have opponents of the state, and let's be clear about it right now. When Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of these other institutions who have decided that they are going to effectively be symbiotic with the state, for example, they're fact-checking who's determining which facts are permissible? The state.
Yeah.
Let's be really clear. This is also the problem with crony capitalism. When people, again, talk about the problem with capitalism, okay, why all of a sudden do you think it's inherently altruistic when it's the biggest tech companies that have ever existed and they're getting their marching orders from the state? Do you see the problem? All I'm asking is that you recognize the problem consistently. So what have they been labeled? By both the state and big tech, violent domestic terrorists, that's one of the terms that was, of course, used. The unvaccinated is now a catch-all umbrella. Yeah. Conspiracy theorists, Nazis, don't take my word for it.
The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units. The unvaccinated patients are leaving no room for someone with a heart attack or in need of a cancer operation, and so much more because they can't get into the ICU, they can't get into the operating rooms. The unvaccinated also put our economy at risk.
That's not true either.
The top domestic violent extremist threat comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocated for the superiority of the white race.
Oh, Lord. Additionally, we're increasing the availability of new medicines recommended by real doctors, not conspiracy theorists.
These white supremacists, Nazi sympathizers, carrying Nazi flags, using the
It's just classic.
What do you think Putin does when he watches that clip?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so scared.
Oh, yes. No, I'm so glad you warned me about Nazi fags and Jews-any.
How many times do I have to say checkmate before I win game? This is crazy.
I mean, for crying out loud, you put checker pieces on board.
Did you hear what he said about this? It's not wanting to be vexed. Oh, he lied directly to them, and they're all like, "Yes, it's great."
Right to their face, and then he started complaining about Jews-any to throw them off this sense. Yes, we all know American problem with Jews-any. You sluggish schizophrenic. He's really sluggish schizophrenic. That's for real. We made it up, but you really have.
This man with Popeye face.
Yes.
Constantly one eye open, other one small.
Oh, must have eaten too much spinach being spoon-fed by the Jews, and they right? Oh, dumbass.
What a stupid fuck. Sorry.
Now, finally, let me read you a quote, actually, too. We even have this from Barack Obama that he gave in 2013. Something along these lines of, now, do not be slaves to religion, to marriage, or to children. Break those old ties. The state is your home. Your world is your country. No, wait, hold on a second. That's not,
That's
not Obama. It's the Soviet revolutionary, Alexandra Kollontai. But you know what? It's easy for me to get it confused because I think Obama said something similar.
People have been beaten down so long, and they feel so betrayed by government.
Well, it's not surprising then that they get bitter and they cling to guns or religion or antipathy towards people who aren't like them, or a way to explain their frustrations.
Probably a closet homosexual who did a lot of cocaine.
Was that a camcorder from the 90s? Jeez.
Well, does anyone else see the irony in him saying, now people who, they cling to their Bibles and their guns and show antipathy to people who are different. Like people who cling to their Bibles and guns.
Like I just
yeah. Do you not understand? It's like for
example,
you have some dumb son of a bitches who are not nice to people who disagree.
You want to go to bed?
These people whose mom just got off are getting upset about the things we say. Don't get all wee-weed up.
Vote for me.
By the way, for people who are watching, who are 20-something, that was the thing that Barack Obama did. Everyone talked about how charming he was and charismatic. Yeah. He made up words. He said, my mom used to say, don't get all wearied up. No, everyone looked. It's never been a thing.
Like, what?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's what mom said. No, that's not what your mom said. Well, that's what my dad said. You never met him.
Aww.
No, he didn't meet him when he was young. He grew up without his father.
Thought it was the stereotype thing. Sorry.
Maybe she was just talking about the bulge in her daughter-in-law's pants.
Oh, Lord.
Well, no, she was being on the nose. She would say, "Now, don't get all Michelle up."
It only gets big when she dances.
Why do you think I stay awake?
Or somebody else dances.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Depending who's doing the dancing.
It's not what you think it is.
And I'm over in the corner clinging to my guns.
She has both parts.
And Bible.
She can still give birth.
Praying to God.
Babies come out under the balls.
So look, let me leave you this question. Was Putin right? Was Putin right when he was talking about the United States trying, or at least emulating to some fashion, the previous Soviet Union? You guys can comment below. It's one of the best things you can do, obviously, for the YouTube algorithm. It'll piss them off something awful. Oh, yeah. You can also smash that like button to see what they think about it. Hint, they're not going to like it.
No.
Now, I promise you one thing. You smash that YouTube like button.
9.
Susan Wojcicki's going to get all wee-weed up.
All the way home. Wee-wee.
That's what. Now, this little Michelle went to the marketplace.
Big Kroger.
And said,
this little Michelle had none.
I have a wee-wee.
Now, this little Lizzo had roast beef. And now, this little Michelle had none.
Oh.
To be fair, she had the whole cow.
I hope they threw out those flowers.
I don't think they just threw out the flowers. I think they just shriveled up like an ET on their own.
Yeah, you don't put those in a vase, though. Like, do you want to smell them? No.
What? So here's I know where some people will say we're just complaining. Here are the solutions. How do you fight this off? How do you make sure, or at least as a nation, there's a pretty clear path to avoiding this kind of totalitarianism, to avoiding this kind of. It's always so funny because if you search this, Google's going to tell you that totalitarianism, that authoritarianism, that this is exclusively a right-wing phenomenon. I mean, I don't know how you don't acknowledge Stalin or Mao as totalitarian and how you don't acknowledge them as far left. It does start locally. It does start in your household. It does start with your family. What do? Okay, first thing is you get out of cities. Big cities. We're seeing people do that. That's important. They want to herd you into cities. They want you on mass transit. The more people you put into one area, to a smaller area, the more rules you can create in the name of security, and you can find a willing people who will be subverted through fear. It gets easier and easier the more people you cram into one space. Look up Soviet Union. Look up the Treblinkas. I was about to do Russian Obama talking about Treblinkas because my head, the two got confused.
Can't do it.
No, it's really it's hard for me to do the voice and then go straight into the Kazakhstani son bitch over here. Yeah,
know what I mean?
Getting my own mind all weed up.
You ain't black.
So you get out of cities. Don't be politically indifferent. Obviously, is important. You guys need to take an active role. Do purchase firearms. That's a big one. That's a big one. That's a fail stop when people say, "Oh, you think you're going to fight off?" Yes, I absolutely do. I do think that a government is more well behaved. I mean, look at Australia as a perfect example. When there's a mandatory gun buyback. Look at while we're talking about World War II. Look at what happened. And I know some of you will argue with Switzerland in geography, but a big part of it was that every single person had a gun. It was, I believe, mandatory for Swiss service, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that they were all trained in the... there were a lot of guns, put it this way. There were a lot of guns in mountainous regions. You understand this. You understand that even the Japanese said about the United States, if there was to be a home invasion in the United States, that there would be a farmer with a gun around every corner and in every grassy field. This is something that is well known. And at the very least, let's say you don't believe that it's really a deterrent. It's not going to hurt.
It's a good idea.
Right? If a government wants to go in door to door, which is what they eventually do, rounding people up, not saying that's happening here in the United States, happened in Australia.
Right.
Went door to door, rounding people up, saying that you could go to a voluntary quarantine camp. And by voluntary, we mean you drive yourself or we charge you $5,500 and you get in a cop car. That happened there. You don't just have to think about being rounded up and being taken to gas chambers. People have been rounded up for far more reasons than that. And so sometimes people just want to take one extreme example. I think it's a real disservice. We need to do another segment just in the history of Stalin's Russia, because a lot of people don't realize. Sometimes I think he was worse than Hitler. And they're both bad. Don't get me wrong.
He killed far more people.
He killed far more
than
people
Hitler ever dreamed of. Hitler, if he had his way, would not have killed nearly as many as Stalin.
Is that true?
It is 100%.
Oh yeah,
true.
no.
There were probably
you learn something new every day.
Stalin killed
50 to 75 million during the time period around World War II.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Hitler killed, I think, 6 million Jews, 6 million gypsies, blacks, professors, political enemies. So about 12 million people, roughly. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more if you count in some other stuff. But so less.
I like
than,
how you
less than a third.
Yeah, it's 12
of what
million-ish.
Stalin did.
Yeah.
No, but there's other places like
big
in
whoops.
Ukraine and other places he killed more people. So if you add in all of that,
Yeah, and he just did it through classism, because if it wasn't necessarily as ethnically diverse.
75 million?
that's the estimates. It's
That's the estimates.
Some people say it's up to 100.
I've heard it as high as 100 million. I've never heard anyone legitimately argue lower than 50.
Mussolini was the one that was like hung and spit on, though. What happened to Stalin? Wasn't he also killed?
Mussolini was like the little brother who no one respected.
Right.
He wanted to be in the club. He's like,
He was the
hey guys, me too. They're like,
Yeah.
No, not so much.
No.
It's some Mussolini.
Yeah, come on.
No.
I can build fascists too.
Yes, my brother.
I can kill millions.
You like a pizza?
I'm a spicy dictator. So,
Hey, by the way, just a quick question for you: if guns are not a deterrent to a government overreaching, why is it that in history the first thing that governments do, and right before they take over, is take your guns?
yeah. Well, it's always so funny is when you hear people who get mad when I said, of course, Hitler was what was left, because National Socialist Party. They go, what about the National Part, the Socialist Part? Also, the disarming part. They go, no, he didn't disarm, just the Jews. Well, you know what? I don't want to disarm anybody. It'd be like me saying, well, I don't want to disarm just the blacks. I mean, no, look, if you disarm any subsection of the United States, that's wrong. If you disarm any, of course, it's still disarmament when you look at what they did in Nazi Germany. That's the first thing they always do.
He was disarming the people he was about to kill.
Absolutely.
If Beto says, I'm coming for your guns, do the math.
I know it's hard to take him at his word because he lies a lot, but we think he's serious this time.
Maybe this time.
Well, usually the reaction is a farmer of Mexican heritage tells you to leave.
Yes.
Hey, by the way, you know who wish they had guns in every single field and behind every single blade of grass right now? Ukrainians.
Yeah.
It matters, guys.
Yeah.
They're about to be taken over by Russia, and the rest of the world is kind of diddling their thumbs saying, I don't really think he's going to do it this time. I know he took that other part of Ukraine last time.
Right.
I just don't think,
But I believe USSR, you don't know how lucky you are?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Lucky
about
you
that,
are,
guys.
boy. You're back in the USSR.
So I don't think it's a big deal.
I think a lot of people say this, and it's so silly. They go, what, you think you're going to fight off the government with your guns? And I'm not encouraging, of course, any type of violent insurrection. That's not what we're talking about. But we are talking about the reason for the Second Amendment. Yes. It's a very easy answer when people say these things to you. They go, "What? You think you're gonna fight the government with nukes and drones?" And
100%.
Yeah. Yep. Look at what happens in the Ukraine. Are they just nuking the Ukraine? Look at what happened. Okay, let's say you believe that the United States is the axis of evil, as I know many of you do in your social studies programs in college. All right. What happened in Afghanistan?
Yeah. Twice. Russia and the United States in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, Syria, you can't find an ISIS. Think about this for a second. You're talking about people who had guns and didn't even know how to use them. And they were able to fight off the most powerful economic superpower the world has ever seen. Now, I wish that weren't the case, but the truth is, unless you're dealing with a country a government that just wants to evaporate all of its natural resources and human resources, of course, the war that takes place before the war is an information war, a propaganda war, and getting rid of all of your enemies. And by the way, who are your enemies? It's different in every country where you look at it like the Soviet Union or you look at it like Nazi, you look at places like Nazi Germany. But guess what? The people who are your enemies, if you are a totalitarian government, always include every single person who has a gun outside of the cops, outside of those who will enforce the laws, stripping the citizens of their arms. And this is, again, while we're talking about consistency, I am not forced to suspend my belief and understanding of human nature to say you should be able to own a gun. And I also understand why police officers need firearms and not just tasers. I don't understand how you can say, why do you need a gun? Call the cops who have guns. By the way, Black Lives Matter because of police brutality. Again, I see human nature the same across the board. Human beings are inherently flawed. They're inherently evil. We're inherently sinful. And so we need those checks and balances, not only as systems of government, but we need those checks and balances among ourselves. And a part of that is an armed populace. That's a more polite populace. And at the very least, even if you think that it's not, if you think that, oh, well, more guns could lead to more violence. Yeah, but you know what? It's more morally reprehensible to bar someone their right to defend themselves against the violent and corrupt than it is to me to understand that some people will act violently and corruptly. This is just personal opinion. To me, it's far more of a tragedy to read of a woman who was gang raped because she was defenseless than, for example, the Bloods and the Crips shooting it out in South Central LA. It's different. They're both bad. One is worse, especially when you're talking about that being the result of any kind of government mandate, which we've seen across all totalitarian regimes. So I'll leave you with this. What else can we do? I want to read this quote, actually, from someone who I believe all the statues have been removed. I think they're all gone.
Well, thank God.
There's this little thing, the Declaration of Independence, and there was the guy named Thomas Jefferson. Remember that name? I think he's going to catch on. He wrote, "Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness," where have I heard that before? "It is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government." Contrast that with what we just talked about, Barack Obama, former Vice President Joe Biden, and Putin, and what the New York Times had written is government is here to help. Hey, no, sometimes people mistrust their government. We need to make sure that everyone trusts their institutions. Here's the beauty of our institutions here in the United States. And I know this one's going to be a little bit of a doozy, okay? It's a head scratcher. Our institutions were created specifically to sow continual distrust in our institutions so that you consistently reform them and hold them accountable. Not that you ingrain them deeper, like a Lizzo grave. All right, we are going to go to YouTube and bring in Austin to talk about how racist Koreans and Chinese people can be. So we can't talk about this on YouTube. He's Korean. It's okay. Piss off YouTube.